welcome to Dreamy Tales, a place where gentle, relaxing stories will guide you into a deep sleep. On this channel, we'll be sharing soothing stories to help you unwind and forget the worries of the day. If you enjoy these peaceful moments, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you won't miss any of our bedtime tales. Let's create a space of relaxation together each night. Now, before we dive into tonight's story, let's take a few moments to relax your body and mind. Find a comfortable spot to sit or lie down. Gently close your eyes and take a deep breath. Inhale slowly, feeling the fresh air filling your lungs, and slowly exhale, letting the tension in your body gradually melt away. Repeat this 3 more times. With each breath, feel yourself becoming more relaxed and ready to enter the magical world of stories. Now, loosen your shoulders, gently massage your face, and release any remaining tension. Pay attention to any areas in your body that still feel tight, maybe in your neck, back, or legs, and gently let them relax. Next, we'll do a short guided visualization. Imagine yourself in a beautiful garden under the night sky, with the soft moonlight shining down. You can hear the rustling of leaves in the breeze, the sound of water flowing gently in the distance. Feel the cool breeze brushing against your face. Now that your body and mind are relaxed, let's step into tonight's story. But before we begin, remind yourself that you deserve these moments of relaxation, and let go of all worries as you listen to each word. And now, as you are fully relaxed, let's begin our journey into tonight's tale. Allow my words to guide you into a world of dreams and serenity. Relax and listen slowly. It's late November, and the rugged mountains surrounding Sarah's cabin stand guard against a vast, overcast sky. Chill winds wander through the craggy ridges and valleys, stirring the last of the dark brown leaves that cling stubbornly to the trees. Here, in this remote corner of the mountains, Sarah's cozy living room offers a peaceful vantage point for watching the changing weather. A few of those leaves flutter gracefully past her large casement windows, spinning lazily before disappearing from view. Within this snug space, warm light glows from a yellow-tinted mosaic lamp perched on a side table near her sofa. The glass lampshade is made up of tiny jewel-toned pieces, ambers and citrines that mirror the subtle golden hue of the waning afternoon light. Beneath the lamp, a book with a woven fabric bookmark rests, marking Sarah's halfway progress through an anthology of travel stories that she's been savoring whenever she finds a free hour. Next to the book, a steaming cup of chai tea in a cream-colored mug radiates its sweet, spiced aroma into the room. Sarah adores these autumn to winter transitional days, finding solace in the thick walls of her mountain cabin. The structure was built decades ago, featuring robust wooden beams and stone walls intended to withstand the gusts and snowdrifts that often accompany the colder months. Though the late November weather outside brings crisp air and the hint of imminent snowfall, an old-fashioned fireplace keeps the interior toasty, crackling with bright, dancing flames. The distinctive scent of burning oak and maple drifts throughout the space, blending seamlessly with the spicy notes of her tea. She can't help but wander mentally through past holiday seasons. Evenings baking gingerbread cookies. Mornings spent strolling through frosty forests, the hush of fresh snow blanketing every surface. Even these recollections feel amplified in the friendly glow of the flames. A stack of logs, oak and maple again, sits at the fireplace's edge, ready to be burned in the coming nights, promising many more hours of warmth. Earlier in the morning, before settling into her tranquil afternoon, Sarah busied herself with household tasks. Her day began with a simple breakfast: hot oatmeal sprinkled with cinnamon and a drizzle of honey. And then she took up her corn broom to sweep the hardwood floors, the bristles making a soft, rasping sound as she cleared away pine needles and bits of leaves tracked in from outside. When she finished sweeping, she headed to the laundry room to fold freshly washed clothes, mostly flannels and thick socks, staples of life at high elevation, and then sorted out her compost and recycling, ensuring that her home remained as eco-friendly as possible. Dusting came next. The surfaces of her modest but welcoming living room needed attention, including a hallway credenza that displayed a few favorite photographs: Sarah's family on a beach vacation years ago, her best friend's cat in a sunny window, and a snapshot of Sarah herself standing proudly by a completed hiking trail sign. She also wiped down the living room's brick mantel, where an assortment of picture frames and candle holders sat. Each item carried a memory. The candle holders were a gift from her mother. The old mantel clock once belonged to her late grandfather, and the photo frames held glimpses of cherished moments frozen in time. Now, with her chores accomplished, Sarah has nestled into the soft cushions of her sofa. The immediate chill upon entering her living room earlier has since receded thanks to the fire's cheery warmth and the thick braided rug underfoot. Sipping her chai tea, spiced with cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves, adds another layer of coziness to the moment. She pulls her cardigan a bit closer around her shoulders, feeling the knitted texture that she made herself last winter, then slips her feet into comfortable house slippers lined with faux shearling. A new resolve blooms in her mind. She's determined to spend the afternoon knitting, eager to finish the winter jumper she began just last week. The timing couldn't be better, with the first true snowfall close at hand. This thought spurs her to action. She sets her mug aside for a moment and rises to select the perfect background music. She crosses the living room's braided rug with measured steps, her slippers scuffing slightly on the worn wood beneath, and heads to the record player in the corner. It's a vintage piece, but well-loved, with a sturdy wooden casing and a slight squeak in the lid's hinge. Next to it, a wooden crate overflows with vinyls, everything from classical symphonies to the folk tunes Sarah favors during the early mornings. Recently, a friend gifted her a record filled with spoken poetry, excerpts from famous poets and lesser-known wordsmiths pressed onto vinyl. Sarah believes it will set the perfect tone for a peaceful knitting session. Carefully, she slides the record from its cardboard sleeve, appreciating the glossy black surface of the disc. She handles it gently, mindful of fingerprints, before placing it onto the turntable. With practiced precision, she nudges the tone arm into place, a delicate maneuver that feels almost ceremonious. A gentle, static crackle emerges when she powers on the turntable and adjusts the volume knob. The first faint words sound, and Sarah smiles to herself. The introduction soon segues into a poet's voice, reciting lines about memory and shifting seasons. It's a quiet, contemplative piece, an echo of the transition from autumn to winter that seems so apparent through her windows. Satisfied with the record's volume level, loud enough to hear, yet soft enough to remain a calming background presence, Sarah returns to the sofa. She slips the half-finished jumper from her knitting basket, which she keeps on the lower shelf of her sturdy, low-slung coffee table. The basket itself is woven of seagrass and has a gentle crackle when lifted. Inside, it holds not only her knitting project but also extra skeins of yarn, a small pair of scissors, a measuring tape, and a sachet of lavender to keep everything smelling fresh. Sarah lifts her project and admires the progress. This piece is intended to be a long-sleeved turtleneck jumper. She pictures wearing it on frosty mornings, the fabric hugging her neck with comforting warmth. She's chosen to combine medium-weight merino wool with a gossamer-thin mohair silk yarn, blending them into a single strand for knitting. The mohair yarn, made of 70% mohair and 30% silk, adds a subtle halo of softness to the already cozy merino. The off-white hue creates an effect reminiscent of fresh snow, with a slight sheen from the mohair that catches the light. Spreading the growing garment across her lap, she notes the details. A chunky turtleneck that folds over, the yoke with raglan increases, and a partially finished body that forms a sort of short-sleeved vest at this stage. 2 open holes where sleeves will eventually be attached. Given the top-down style of the pattern, she began at the neck, knitting a 2x2 rib that has ample stretch and shape. After reaching the desired length for the turtleneck, she transitioned into the raglan yoke, adding stitches every other row to accommodate her shoulders. Now she's past the point where armholes are divided from the main body, leaving stitches for the sleeves on spare yarn holders. Though it's already looking like a proper sweater, the body still needs a bit more length, and she has to complete both sleeves. But the hardest part of the construction is over, so she can savor the relatively mindless rounds of knitting that remain. An airy poem about love drifts from the turntable, the words dancing through the cozy room in tandem with the crackling of the fireplace. Sarah can't help but smile at the synergy of it all. Poetry in the air, a nearly finished sweater in her hands, and a captivating view of the mountainous domain outside. Absorbed in her crafting, Sarah glances up when the poem concludes. She finds herself reflecting on its theme, finding joy in fleeting moments, and that concept resonates powerfully with her. Ever since she moved to this mountainous region, she's learned to treasure the small joys: a fresh pot of tea, a cozy blanket, the hush of the wind just before snowfall. She used to lead a faster-paced life in the city, but she can't imagine returning to those hectic rhythms now. Deciding she wants to give herself time to process the poem she's just heard, Sarah sets down her knitting and heads back to the record player. With the practiced care of a music lover, she lifts the tone arm and stops the record, returning it to its sleeve to keep the vinyl pristine. She rummages through her crate again, eyes scanning over the spines until she finds a timeless, mellow album. Some gentle, old-school tunes she loves for late afternoons. She removes that record from its cardboard jacket, places it on the turntable, and positions the needle. A hum of static preludes a graceful guitar melody that begins to fill the room, matched by a flutter of wind outside. Before returning to her knitting, Sarah decides to enhance the ambient coziness. She notices how the natural light outside has dimmed further, the looming clouds thickening, giving the mountains an almost mystical aura. Twilight will be upon her soon, yet the sun remains hidden behind ominous storm clouds. She flips on a tall standing lamp in the corner, adding a gentle radiance to the environment. Then, to create an even homier feel, she picks up a few pillar candles and taper candles she has scattered around the living space. One large, off-white pillar candle sits on a small table near the record player. Opening the drawer beneath the turntable, she retrieves a box of wooden matches, carefully sliding one out. Striking it against the side of the box produces a small orange flame that flickers momentarily before growing steady. The sulphurous smell hits her nose for an instant, and then she places the flame to the candle's wick, letting it catch hold with a soft glow. The gentle illumination from the newly lit candle merges with the mosaic lamp's golden glow, casting dancing shadows across the bookshelves. Sarah takes her time, moving around the room to light more candles. 2 slender tapers rest on the mantel near family photos, and another sits on a side table holding a vase of dried wildflowers. Halfway through lighting the second taper, her match extinguishes. Undeterred, she angles the wick of the newly lit candle to ignite its twin, careful not to drip any wax. Soon, a constellation of gentle flames flickers throughout the living room, melding with the crackling fire and melodic music. When she draws closer to the large window, she notices the temperature has dropped further. Pressing a palm to the glass, she senses the biting cold outside, though the snow hasn't yet started in earnest. Sarah can practically smell the oncoming storm in the wind, a crisp, metallic tang that signals winter's arrival. With an exhilarated flutter in her chest, she envisions how the landscape will look once covered in fresh, pristine snow. The morning view promises to be breathtaking. With a final glance at the heavy clouds, Sarah returns to her sofa. She wiggles into her favored knitting position, legs curled under a soft throw blanket, the jumper draped over her lap, yarn balls resting on the cushion beside her. The music from the record player transitions into a sweet, folksy tune with subtle guitar strings. Meanwhile, the wind outside seems to pick up, whistling through the evergreen branches that populate the mountainside. Her knitting needles click softly as she navigates each stitch. There's a musical rhythm to the process. Knit, knit, purl, purl, the occasional raglan decrease or increase, though at this stage it's mostly uniform. Time slips by gently. She glances occasionally at the poem lines swirling in her head, remembering verses about winter as a metaphor for introspection. It makes her appreciate the quiet, unhurried pace of her life here. Moments later, she notices a faint swirl of white beyond the window. The first snowflakes spiral down, tapping lightly on the glass before melting. With a small exclamation of delight, Sarah sets her knitting aside and stands. She crosses the living room, slippers gliding on the wood floor, to stand directly at the window. Her reflection overlaps with the scene outside, a layered view of the cozy interior superimposed onto the stark gray mountain backdrop. Within minutes, the snowflakes become thicker, drifting in mesmerizing patterns. The mountains, once so clearly defined, now appear swathed in a hazy, ethereal gauze of gray-white. Pine trees in the valley below accumulate a dusting of snow on their boughs. Sarah imagines the local wildlife, rabbits, deer, even an occasional fox, seeking shelter amidst the tangle of roots and fallen logs. She can hardly wait for tomorrow to see the transformation in the daylight. Noticing the fireplace has grown low, Sarah crosses the room to stoke the embers. She selects a log from the stack of oak and maple, placing it carefully on the glowing coals. Soon, small tendrils of flame lick at the new wood, releasing that earthy, smoky scent she adores. She adds another log, ensuring enough warmth will last the rest of the evening. Then, she circles back to her sofa, determined to make progress on the jumper. The bottom of the body section is almost done, and she only needs to incorporate a ribbed edge. Another 2x2 rib for 10 or so rows. Her knitting pattern calls for it to be snug yet flexible, making it easy to slip on and off. She proceeds stitch by stitch, occasionally humming in tune with the record's gentle music. The knit stitch and purl stitch become a sort of meditation. She reflects on the beauty of opposites, like knit and purl or autumn and winter, or the contrast between the cold outdoors and her snug interior. She remembers the poet's words, frost kisses the earth with its icy breath, a prelude to winter. Outside, the snow is indeed forging that prelude, dusting the landscape with glints of white. Perhaps by dawn, the entire forest floor will be blanketed in silent wonder. At last, Sarah finishes the required rows of ribbing and decides to bind off the hem. After slipping the final stitch free, she can't resist the urge to test the fit. Setting her needles down, she shrugs off her cardigan, revealing the comfy tank she's worn all day. Then she carefully slides the jumper over her head, mindful of the sleeve stitches that remain on spare yarn. She steps toward a hallway mirror, her stockinged feet sinking into the plush runner beneath. In the reflective surface, she sees the sweater hugging her turtleneck snugly but not chokingly. Precisely as she intended. The body hangs at just the right length, skimming her hips in a flattering, slightly loose silhouette. A broad grin brightens her face. The collar, the color, the texture, everything about this piece feels wonderful. Removing the jumper with gentle care, Sarah returns to the living room where the flames still dance in the fireplace. She places the body of the sweater on the arm of the sofa for a moment, stepping again to the window. Through the glass, the swirling snow intensifies, almost blotting out the last shred of daylight. It's still early evening, but the stormy sky hastens the onset of dusk. She senses a giddy excitement building within her. Tomorrow, she'll awaken to a white-cloaked world, the first real snowfall of the season. With any luck, she'll be able to finish the sleeves by midday, then don her completed jumper for a wintry stroll through the woods. She pictures herself treading softly on fresh snow, marveling at animal footprints etched in the drifts, and feeling the crisp mountain air through her nose while her upper body stays perfectly warm. For now, though, she's determined to get at least one sleeve finished before bedtime. She retrieves a smaller set of circular knitting needles, perfect for the narrower circumference of an arm, and transfers the held stitches from spare yarn onto the needles. The music softly transitions into an instrumental tune, with lilting violins and piano chords interweaving. She feels a wave of tranquility wash over her, a sense that she's right where she needs to be. Seated again, Sarah carefully adjusts her posture, shoulders back, neck relaxed, because she's aware of how easy it is to slump when knitting for hours. She begins the rhythmic dance of forming stitches in the round, occasionally decreasing a stitch here or there to shape the sleeve. Outside, a harsh wind gust rattles the window panes, but inside, Sarah's domain remains undisturbed, illuminated by flickering candles, the mosaic lamp, and the steady glow of the fireplace. The minutes flow into an hour or more. She can tell by how her spool of yarn diminishes that she's making excellent progress. From time to time, she sets down the project to sip the last of her chai tea or to stretch her fingers, leaning side to side to keep her muscles from stiffening. The record finishes side A, and Sarah flips it to side B, letting another medley of tunes create a comforting background. She imagines that the swirling snowfall outdoors is dancing in tandem with the waltzing notes. As the new hour deepens, Sarah's thoughts drift to the coming weeks. The holiday season is near, with possibilities of friends visiting from out of town, or cozy nights spent alone with festive music and homemade pastries. She loves the hush that descends on the mountains in December, when snow muffles every sound, and the shorter days seem to invite introspection. She might hang simple evergreen wreaths on her door, or string up white fairy lights around the mantel for a festive touch. She also anticipates building a snowman outside, placing a jaunty knitted hat on its head, and snapping a picture to send to friends. her stomach grumbles faintly, reminding her that dinner time approaches. She thinks of what she could prepare. Perhaps a hearty vegetable stew or a simmering pot of chili, something that pairs well with the cackling fireplace and the new snowfall. Before she gets up to start cooking, she wants to finish just a few more rounds on the sleeve. A flicker of motion near the window catches her eye. The swirling snow has thickened considerably, forming a whirling white curtain. She can barely see the pines in the distance. Even the shapes of the nearest trees blur under the weight of heavy flakes. It's enchanting, a real-life snow globe effect. Sarah feels an almost childlike glee, anticipating the hush that envelops the forest once the storm subsides. Time flows on, and the logs in the fire crackle anew, brightening the room with each pop. Sarah's needles click faster now as she enters the final stretch for the right sleeve. She calculates the pattern's instructions. Soon enough, she'll do some ribbed cuff rows, again a 2x2 rib, and then bind off. The left sleeve will remain for tomorrow, but she's content with that plan. The warmth radiating from the fireplace, the golden candlelight, and the gentle strains of music woven with the ambient hush of snow create a cocoon of pure comfort. At last, she finishes the cuff ribbing of the right sleeve and binds off. Carefully, she tests how stretchy the edge is, ensuring it's neither too tight nor too loose. Pleased, she sets the partially completed jumper aside, letting the new sleeve drape neatly over the sofa's cushion. A glance at the mantel clock suggests it's nearly dinner time. Sarah stands, rolls her shoulders, and reaches her arms high above her head. Her spine thanks her with a series of satisfying pops, a reminder that knitting, as soothing as it is, requires breaks. She pads into the small yet functional kitchen adjacent to the living room, deciding on a simple but hearty meal, perhaps a vegetable stew with lentils, tomatoes, onions, and carrots. She hums along to the final song playing on the record, the music still drifting in from the other room. As she dices vegetables, a sense of contentment expands in her chest. The snow might continue all night, piling up until everything she sees from her window is transformed by dawn. She pictures how the sun, if it appears, will reflect off the fresh snow, flooding her cabin with a luminous glow. And she imagines pulling on her brand new jumper, after finishing that second sleeve, of course, before stepping outside with a camera to preserve the memory of the season's first blanket of white. The stew simmers for a while, releasing savory aromas that mix intriguingly with the lingering scent of the fireplace. Sarah puts on a kettle for tea or cocoa. She hasn't decided which, and returns briefly to the living room to flip the record, or perhaps choose another. She might even opt for silence now, letting the quiet, snow-laden world sing its own lullaby. Candles still flicker in their holders, and the mosaic lamp's comforting glow continues to dance across the hearth, highlighting the warm bricks. Eventually, dinner is ready, and Sarah sits at her small dining nook, the flickering candles from the living room providing an indirect glow. She savors each bite, occasionally watching the flakes swirl against the window pane. The hush outside is profound. There's a sense of closeness in the house, like the walls themselves are aware of the storm beyond and are sheltering her from it. After dinner, she tidies up the dishes. She's never been one to leave a sink full for morning, and contemplates whether to knit the left sleeve tonight or wait until dawn. The mesmerizing lull of the snowfall and the fullness in her stomach from her stew conspire to make her drowsy. She decides the final sleeve can wait, though she might add just a row or two before bedtime. Blowing out most of the candles, Sarah leaves one taper candle and the lamp lit, enjoying the gentle interplay of shadows. She settles again on the sofa, picking up her half-finished jumper in one hand and a well-loved novel in the other. A moment's hesitation. Read or knit? Reading often helps her drift off to sleep, while knitting can sometimes energize her creativity. In the end, she places the novel on the side table, deciding to indulge in a few more stitches. She'll read when she climbs into bed. The snowfall beyond the windows intensifies, each gust of wind sending flurries swirling in random patterns of white. Soon, Sarah imagines, the entire mountain forest will look like something out of a fairy tale, with delicate icicles dangling from eaves, muffled footsteps in the snow, and branches crowned with glistening crystals. She adores how winter recasts the same familiar terrain into an enchanted wonderland. With the evening growing late, she sets aside her knitting after just one row on the second sleeve. Enough for now, she thinks. She'll greet the new day with fresh eyes and renewed energy, finishing her creation in time to wear it out on a snowy walk. Maybe even feed the local birds or leave some scraps for woodland creatures near the edge of the property. At last, she extinguishes the final candle, leaving the mosaic lamp's soft glow as the sole source of light. The fire is low now, but still warm, flickering quietly, and Sarah lets herself linger in the sense of deep calm that has permeated the room. Snow quietly taps at the windows, each flake a gentle reminder that winter is claiming its domain. She stands and walks to the bedroom, picking up the novel along the way. A day well spent, she reflects, with a clean house, a hearty meal, and significant progress on the jumper. Her heart feels full, content with the simplest joys, the promise of snow, the gentle swirl of music and poetry earlier, and the knowledge that, come dawn, the world will wear a snowy new coat. As she climbs under her duvet and turns the pages of her book, she feels no rush, no pressing tasks. The gentle stillness of the mountains and the comforting rhythm of her existence envelop her. She knows that tomorrow will be just as lovely. Fresh snow to marvel at, a sleeve to finish, and a pot of coffee to start the day. The cycle continues in comforting familiarity. In this sanctuary of wood, warmth, and soft lamplight, Sarah drifts off, confident that life's gentle pleasures are right where she left them, waiting to be rediscovered with the sunrise.